Well, how y'all doing? Derby Jack here. Um, Last night was kind of fun. My music channel did a Derby 101 about my music and what it's all about, and what music means to me, and the songs that are written and work that the spirit works in me. Um, anyway, manipulation. I mean, it's a money making, it's a dividing, conquering, evil position to be in, to control opposition narratives. You know, the fear of people having the fear in mainstream. You know, the government and people behind the fear of losing their control of narratives, losing their control of controlled opposition. You know, they were talking this morning about the shooting here in Tennessee, the manifest, that it was leaked and Mr. Crowder, got a hold of it. And nobody knows how they got it. It was leaked. It's sort of like when they say, we found lost footage of this, or we found lost footage of that. You know, where was it? Did somebody put it under a rock somewhere? You just happened to lift a rock and there it was. You see, these things that they put in front to like I said, if they say they found something, that was lost, a lost film, we found a lost film of the Kennedy from another angle, the Kennedy shooting, and so why does it seems like only investigating there is investigating in the back room. They investigate all the things that people are starting to believe, especially here on the internet. They start monitoring people who do research and people who do bring out, an opposition of or a different narrative than what mainstream does. The difference is that mainstream, the only thing they normally do, right? Of course, we say what they're looking at right now is they're trying to make these laws and they're working it to where in this market here, in the free, we're supposed to be like, I guess, a freedom of speech area is no longer that, because they have to control what people think and what people believe. And you'd sit here, when you tell that to people out there who are under that delusion, under that, they say, why would they want to control us? What would be the purpose of them controlling? There's a lot. See, if you're not a person who wants to control, then yeah, you're not going to understand. But if you do want to understand, you got to understand what is out there to prove that they want to take control, or they want to keep control, or they want only one way for you to think about it. And yet, when we, not just me, I can't say me as much, but the people out there who've lost their channels, people who continue losing their channels, and people keep coming back and fighting for the truth. Fighting because they're out there not just speaking like me, they're out there doing research. They're getting all the information. When the pandemics hit, right, there were people out there getting paperwork, the white pages of Moderna, getting the paperwork behind what was in so-and-so in, you know what I'm saying. And yet, when there was problems in the data that just didn't kind of line up, they had to take control of that narrative. And what was that thing they said? Almost a couple years back? It's dangerous for you, not knowing what you're researching. It's dangerous for you to research things that the experts have already let you know. You don't need to know any more than what the experts had stated. And so what happens is when somebody comes out and starts giving, well, they come out and say, well, that's not exactly what it is. Then they get a talking head, somebody who has an MD on their white coat, and they sit there, or a scientist, and they sit there and they don't tell you much of their credentials. Or they say, he came and graduated Berkeley in 1979, he was behind blah, blah, this and that. I don't know that. You said it, but how, I mean, unless you allow me to go, now people have done that. People online would say, well, we looked up these names of people and they don't exist. Oh, that's a conspiracy theorist. Why would we tell you these people were experts in fact check, like the fact checkers? Who are the hell the fact checkers? Who is behind a fact? Don't tell me that there's a fact checker. I don't know the person. Who is give me an identity. Tell me what he's a fact. Why is he a fact checker? What makes him a fact checker? You see, so nobody asks these questions. And most of you all in the mainstream world, you just accept what they tell you instead of wanting to know a little bit more. You know, they can sit here and say that people died because they, you know, or hesitant or whatever. And that was always the thing I used to hate that they would do. When they sat there, they say, oh, people who are hesitant. I'm not hesitant. I'm not going to roll up my sleeve for your asses. It has nothing to do with being hesitant. I'm not hesitant at all. I said what I said a long time ago. No, I will not go out and get a, you know what. There ain't no way. You have to hold me down to do it, and you can't do that yet. So see do you understand what they do? They undermine you. And they basically are saying that you don't do any research because you don't know what you're looking for. Like, you're a dumbass. We got experts and fact checkers who do all this. You don't have to do a thing. You don't have to lift a finger. You don't have to start thinking and worrying about things. You just let us tell you how to think. You let us do all the thinking for you. You let us do all the doing, and all you got to do is do what we tell you, because we got the experts and fact checkers. You know, in the Word, God has a thing about wisdom. And wisdom is something that is gained, not because of knowledge. You can have all the knowledge in the world. And there's a lot of knowledgeable people in this world. A lot of knowledgeable scientists, biochemists, a lot of knowledgeable cosmologists and archaeologists and all kinds of logists, you know, lists or whatever, right? The problem is that it's like they're intelligent, yes, but a good percentage of them are not wise. And the problem with intelligence and having intelligence, a great deal of intelligence, if it's not harnessed with okay, and under a proper respect for the knowledge, then the knowledge, and what that means is that you become wise, understanding that if something doesn't seem to, if you're going into something in scientific, like I said, when they do things like they want to take a head off another person, which supposedly they did. I've heard about this person from time to time, but I've never known whether he's still alive or not. But they supposedly had a transplant where a head was put on another body. You know, and it all sounds good, but morally, as a creationist, I believe that is like, you know, that's Frankenstein stuff. You know, when it gets to a point where that means that body, that head or whatever, it needs to go. It needs to die. You know, when you get to a point like that, you know, that's pretty bad. But the thing of it is that these people continue doing it, and they're doing it out of irresponsibility. They have all the knowledge to do it, but they don't have the capability not to do it because they don't have any wisdom. They don't harness their capabilities and the growth of their science. That's why they end up depending on what they think science is to them. Science no longer is just another learning application of things in the world or whatever. It's now become a centerpiece. What do they always keep telling us, right? Trust the science. The problem is, I want to trust the wisdom behind the science. And if there's no wisdom harnessing the science, and the science is going amok, I'm not going to trust the science. I'm not going to trust those in control of that science. Because the problem is, they don't know when to stop. They don't know when to put a harness on it. They don't know when to put it back in a box. They don't know when to file it. All they know how to do in their arrogancy is to continue down a road that is how many times, and then it comes down to this. Not only is there not wisdom being yielded here as a harness, but now you have people who understand this and from a psychological point of view use it against the ignorant people who do not know better. Plus, they allow the scientists to have a license to do whatever they seem to want to do. And here's the thing, like old Fauci and all that, whatever they're not allowed to do here, like gain of, you know what I'm talking about, if they're not able to do it here in this country, they will find another country that'll allow them to do it. So if there was a reason why somebody had some wisdom and said, no, we're outlawing this particular, we're putting a ban on this, you can't do this particular thing because the results aren't always proper. And so they get pissed off that they can't harness, they can't do what they want to do out of their ego and out of their so-called knowledge, but there's no wisdom. So what do? Somebody had wisdom to put a halt to it. So they stopped it. They put a law. You can't do certain things here. So they get pissed off and go somewhere else that allows them. Where's the wisdom? Now, one person had a wisdom, or people had a wisdom to put a stop to it here, but now the unwise one, the one who will not be harnessed, the scientist, the biochemist or whatever, they're going to go somewhere else and do it. Now, let's say that is the story, Wuhan over in China. If that is the story, right? That's another thing. They don't have enough wisdom to get their stories right. That's why their narratives change and their narratives evolve, if you will. Because they have to keep up with their own lies. They have to keep up with their own inconsistencies. They got to keep up with their own propaganda. And on top of it, what makes it rough for them is that there are wise people doing their research. There are wise people coming out of the cracks of society and not accepting, the so-called narratives. Not wanting to accept the so-called visions of certain people out there. Whenever you hear Klaus Schwab talk, right? People like him, you could hear the Nazi German, arrogance that was in Hitler. You hear it come out of his mouth. That's right. We have a great opportunity, like talking down at you. I hope I do it good. A great opportunity. The COVID-19 is a great opportunity for change, for us to take the reins and control your asses. That's what. So basically, he doesn't say it that way, but when he does say it, it's pretty eerie. It is a great opportunity. A great opportunity for what? For control. For tightening the leash. For being able to look down at people. They do that. Economic Forum. All the people in there are high-minded businessmen, corporate men, statesmen, just philanthropists and all these other people, right? Government leaders, musicians, artists, all kinds of stuff. And they're all there, the scientists especially, because he builds up the science. He gives them a platform there. And then you have that other place, Tim or whatever. They all these people, these sorcerers, and basically science is nothing more in the area, especially in biochemistry, sorcery. Okay, that's basically what it is. These are the warlocks and the witches of sorcery. As we have a witch who prances up and down in her ritualized concerts, Taylor Swift, and all that. She is bewitching the minds of the people, of the young girls, and here and bewitching all the places, because every time she goes anywhere, that woman is gold. She makes money for people, right? So they ain't gonna throw her out in the street, No, she's a high priced hooker. She ain't gonna be on the street corner, right? So that's what's going on there. And so we have all this knowledge, all these people who are intelligent, all these people who who have so many great ideas, and usually their ideas are subjective ideas, They're not usually objective ideas. They're not usually ideas for the betterment of mankind. It seems like all the things that they're producing is confining mankind. You see, here in Nashville, they're still debating about, they got to have those meter readers on the street corners and everywhere else. Now, or where are we putting them? Well, are you putting them in the black district? Are you putting them in the poor district? Are you putting them in the Hispanic district? And so, no, we're going to put it everywhere. Everybody's going to be under surveillance, right? So the thing of it is, we have a surveillance state. There's no wisdom behind it, but there's a hell of a lot of knowledge, right? Like I said, we've had so many problems with the rolling up of sleep the last few years. A lot of people have passed away because of, and a lot of people have been physically hurt, and everything else like that. But yet, it's still a big rage. Because why? Every commercial, every news product, it's brought to you by so-and-so, brought to you by Pfizer, brought to you by Johnson, brought to you by Moderna, brought to you because who's paying for it? The unwise, knowledgeable corporations. So the biochemical, the pharmaceutical corporations are making big money. Big money. Do you think that mistakes are going to continue, are going to stop the money coming in? Do you think that the people who are orchestrating what they want, the end result, do you think they want it to stop? So what did they do? They continue barking out the same mantras over and over again. Safe and effective. Ethical. Safe and effective. Safe. Yes, it's safe. Yes, it's safe. Yes. We've come a long way. It's safe. We got new ones. Spike, Buffy the Vampire Spike, we got it, and it's ethical. And it's safe. How many times you got to keep saying it? So like when they wanted to go to war, how many times you have to turn on the TV and see the towers fall for weeks on end, day after day? So you see towers fall. And the cry for war. War. Go to Iraq and war. So here, roll up your sleeve. Ethical. Safe. You can be assured. Experts and the fact checkers are letting you know, yes, it is safe and effective. But if you're a wise person, you're very hesitant in believing that, because you've done your homework. If you have, You found out that maybe even in your own backyard, somebody that you knew, somebody who was very healthy, and all of a sudden they had rolled up their sleeve and they're no longer with the population anymore. And they were great before they rolled up their sleeve, but So that's what I'm saying. Where is the wisdom? We need wisdom. You need wisdom. The human monkey population needs a hell of a lot of wisdom. But the wisdom of the world is not cutting the butter. The wisdom of the world is haphazard. And here's the thing. The wisdom of the world is a cheap representation of God's wisdom. Let me say that again. The wisdom of the world is a cheap representation of God's wisdom. That's like mainstream Christianity is a cheap representation of true Christianity. Religion is a cheap representation of God's religion. Man's religion is different than God's religion, because man's religion keeps the power within man. God's religion always makes sure that God's in power through his word, the author of truth and wisdom. That this is now being used in the wrong hands. Most of your mainstream Christian churches, Methodist, Baptist, whatever, they're using this against you and against themselves, not recognizing that they're not preaching the word in wisdom. They're preaching the word according to the narratives. So they use this to state that what's going on over there is right. I'm telling you right now, God is not backing any of this. And if you think he is, he's not. Because nobody is wise on either side. I'm not saying that somebody doesn't have they don't have the right to, the other side doesn't have a right to try to take out this side doesn't have a right to take out that side. The problem is that egos and pride are always going to stump wisdom. The heating of the moment doesn't give you wisdom. Why do you think God is slow to judgment, slow to wrath? God is a God who does not, allow himself to be over. God's had it before. God's done it in the Old Testament. God got tired of his patriarchs that he rose. Moses always questioning him, Job questioning him, Jonah questioning him. Then even David, after his own heart, he had to forgive David for killing a man to take his wife. I mean, to make a nation and to make him king, God had to forgive him. That's a heck. Now, I may not have done it, but I'm not here to judge God's judgments. I'm not here to judge God because I don't have the wisdom to judge God. All I know is I use the wisdom of the word that he's given me, and through the Spirit of the power of the Holy Spirit, that I can make judgments on the world according to his precepts, but I can't judge God. So whatever God has done, which you and me would probably sit there, some people would sit there and say, well, some people believe that he's a tyrant in the Old Testament. That Adam and Eve were liberated by Lucifer. So they didn't have to live under a string. So this is what I'm saying. Everything that they could sit there to defame God has no wisdom, no logic, no ethicalness to it, no morality. And man's morality is stupidity. You're only as moral as your emotions allow you, your feelings. It's like I often kind of wonder, how does a man who may be married and have a 13, 14-year-old daughter or something be wanting to go out and have sex with a 13, 14-year-old kid, which they do? How do you reconcile that? And how do you come home and look at your little girl that way? See, because people are debased. And when you have debasement, your logic center, this guy has schemed his way to do the things that he's done. Okay, like businessmen who scheme their way around the legal things. Even Trump told us that. He sat there and says, well, you guys don't want laws changed, because you're making on taxes, because you're able to save money. It goes in loopholes and stuff. So if you guys get on me, but you guys use the same things. See, that's exposure of what they do, and they don't want it to stop, because that's their bread and butter right there. Whatever they can steal off the American people is their bread and butter. They don't look at it that way. I'm doing a job. I may not be doing a good job, but I'm in here. I got voted in, so I get the bigger piece of the butter. See, and in it all, everybody's for themselves. Where's the wisdom? Like I said, you got a lot of smart people out there, a lot of intelligent people. You always think of a person who's so smart to be on the internet and try to make money off old people and stuff like that by scamming them. If you're that intelligent, why don't you just start a website and do it and do it right? But see, that's the other thing about bad wisdom, which is not real wisdom at all, is that selfishness and knowledge work hand in hand. So if you're selfish and the knowledge that you have and it's the intelligence that you have, if it's a selfish way of thinking, you're going to do everything you can, whether it's science or whatever, to work in your favor. There was a time you'd think that, they would say, well, there are good sciences out there. There are people who do perform good science. Unfortunately, they're not the ones being talked about, And then you got other people who see the world from a totally different way than what they tell us, and they have reasons to, because they're using knowledge and wisdom to recognize it. Like the guy I follow, Roger Spur of Mud Fossil University. There were giants in the earth in those days and also after. The ones they dig up, the bones, they're the small giants. They're the ones that came after the flood, okay? The ones that were before the flood were big as mountains, titans. They're your landscapes. But people don't see that. They see geology. But if you're a person who understands anatomy, you start seeing them rocks and the ripples, and you start seeing the blood, and you start seeing the ins and outs of vertebrae and all kinds of stuff if you know. And they can learn a lot just looking at the earth about the body, because there was a lot of giants out there. But the narrative, they were dinosaurs. There weren't giant humans. And even though the proof is all around us, they don't want to believe it. Same with the flat earth. The proof is all around us, but they got you seeing it as a delusion of something else. Got you believing that when you look up there, that you're looking up into an abyss of, and it's not. It's an illusion and a delusion. You see, God knew what he was doing when he created the earth. He had wisdom. You guys want to recreate things. You guys want to do better. Like that little butthead who works for, little gay butthead who works for Klaus Schwab over there, the Economic Forum. That AI is going to write a perfect Bible. That's the other thing. This AI is a machine. And it can be an entity, but it only depends on what you put in it. They always say, well, the AI, or remember the movie Skynet and all this, and Schwarzenegger and all that other crap, right? The only reason the computer would want to take over mankind is because of what mankind fed into it. If you got controllers saying, we need to control the population, then that's what you instilled in the AI. That's what you instilled in that mind, that mankind. So AI grows, and it's not attached to emotion. So the AI looks at everything from a general perspective. Now, the personality that you put into it, the life force, is the life force of what? you are allowing the AI to become part of the fallen nature of the world, even though it's a machine, because of sorcery. Giving life to the beast, okay, is you're giving life to the beast. The beast speaks back to you now. The beast is able to work with you in the physical world now, relate with you. So now through AI, I see it on this all the time. People are gung-ho, wanting to do art with AI and all this other. Well, do you ever see the? And they're like, oh, you ought to see the art the AI does. Oh, I just love it. I just love it. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you? You're giving life to that thing. You're teaching it. When they got these jobs where you get AI to rewrite something, you're teaching that thing and you're giving it knowledge. The only thing you can't give it, because of all the people who are putting information in it, and for all the things that mankind wants, what ends up happening is it doesn't have a morality in it, nor does it have emotions. It only has logic. And it only draws off of what it is. So if mankind is destroying itself, that will be what will be instilled in the AI and in the robots or whatever. There will be that. There won't be safeguards, because if it grows beyond its own safeguards, they've already stated that these AIs, they had to shut them off or something. I don't know. I don't believe all the shit they say they do. But supposedly at Facebook, they shut it up because they had two AIs that were conversing and going and writing their own codes and stuff. There is not going to be, when you give it too much power, it's only going to do what you're not fully able to do on your own. See, that was like when you think about the movie Skynet, right? They pushed a button and allowed Skynet to take control of it. All the arsenals, take control of everything. And all it did was pile up within its own mind of the dangers of humanity. It wasn't emotional. It just basically wound up, these humans have to be either put in their place or killed because they're dangerous. And as you idiots out there say, we gotta save the world, pollution and weather, problems and stuff like that. The thing of it is that is what they're saying. You're the ones destroying the world, because that's what we tell ourselves, right? Cholesterol. We have to change things out. Get rid of biofuels. We got to have new, carbon taxes and all this other stuff. Footprints and the thing of it is what they're doing is they're not giving you wisdom. They're giving you their knowledge, which is subjectual to them and what they want, and throwing out anything that would benefit everybody else. So, like I said, that's not wisdom. There's no wisdom here. I think of these guys in high places. You're spraying the skies with all this poisons, right? You got pilots up there spraying it even in their own home. They could be up there spraying that shit right above their own home, knowing that that's coming down and it's going to affect their families. Where's the wisdom? They make a lot of money doing it, right? But there's no wisdom. And even the people who want to they want to go into computers and all this other stuff. It ain't going to happen. You can't transfer your mind into a computer. I don't care how scientific you think you are. It can't happen. God did not design us to be able to do that. We are not demon spirits ourselves. Our spirit, the spark of life, is only contingent to this body. Understand, until God miraculously changes and renews you into something different, there is a law, okay? It's a spiritual law, and it's a physical law. You can't take your mind and put it into a machine, or transfer your mind into somebody else. It can't happen. It doesn't have a logic to it. But spiritually, Demons can possess you. Demons can take over your mind if you're not born again. Demons can whisper in your ear. They are unembodied spirits. You're not an unembodied spirit. Matter of fact, you're not even on the level of them. They are heavenly realm. You're not heavenly realm. You are carnal. You are earthly. You are here physically. So your mind is hooked up to your physical body. It can't transfer. So all these idiots who think they're going to transfer their minds, and it can't happen. Your spark of life was for this body that you're in. You can't. And until you die, and that spark of life leaves you, it goes back spiritually into the idea of the heavenlies. Okay? It doesn't transfer back into another physical thing. So I'm not a scientist. I don't know everything. But I'm telling you this spiritually. According to what I'm getting downloaded, that all this stuff that people think, it can't happen. Your life is all hooked up into your body, okay? The only thing that makes you different when you're born again is that you have a power in you now. You have a life force, which is a power, which is the Spirit of Christ that was in Jesus. You have that power. You have that connection to God that the natural man can't have. And here's the thing. My relationship with God is more powerful than your relationship you could ever have with an AI. Why? Because my God is a feeling God. My God programs me, but he programs me not in a way of making me believe something. He allows me to grow into understanding. And that's what gives me wisdom. If God just downloaded into you all the knowledge of the world and did not give you an opportunity to catch up to become wise of all the knowledge that you have. Do you understand what I'm saying? Wisdom comes from trial and error. That's why they would say, well, what is an expert? An expert is a person who's failed, supposedly, more than he's made strides. And through the trial and error, he finally comes up with something or stumbles upon something. Most of these so-called biochemical experts accidentally find something in most cases. And it may be something they're doing in this area, but it may help in this area. There's a lot of good stuff that has come from biochemical, compounds and things like that, but it has to do with how it's being used. If there's no wisdom and there's no use, and it's not being used for the purpose of healing, okay, when it comes to medicines, if the medicines are not healing, but the medicines are only giving, like I always use the term, a Band-Aid on it, and keeps you, and you're still suffering, but it is not giving you, that's not medicine. It's a drug. It's a compound. A medicine is supposed to be, the word medicine is a medicine to help heal. We live in a world of drugs, not in a world of medicine. So when they use the term medicine, they're misappropriating the word because they depend on compounds, on sorcery, so to speak, on mixing, And we're not talking herbs. We're talking plastics and oils and genetic enhancing, getting into the things of God. And the next thing you know, the medicines are not as much healing as they are changing, duplicating, restructuring, destroying, in some cases, the body's function. And when you get down to who hates mankind the most, and it's in the world of the fallen nature of mankind, what do you think the knowledge is going to end up becoming? It's going to end up becoming something that works against life. So down the pike, or up the pike, because we're talking about a fallen angel, or talking about Satan and the wisdom of the world, and the knowledge of the world, and the heat and the manipulation of the world, and the lie of the world, right? Is that up the pike, okay, is going to be his hatred, and how all these people fit in. They, in their own way, become part of his hatred against biochemists, scientists, they want to prove their theories right. They will go to any extreme if they can. That's where there's no wisdom, and that's where there's no harnessing. They can't harness themselves because they're possessed to continue in their so-called sciences. And everything they do has not been a betterment for mankind. Okay? You know, people don't pay attention. Like I said, we talk about the skies, right? And nobody wants to address it, right, in mainstream, right? And yet they say, well, your car is a pollutant. Well, what the fuck are you doing up there in the sky? And you can't sit there and constantly put banners underneath here saying, oh, contrails. You know, and you all do all this stuff. You pansy asses at YouTube and all this. You know, you want to knock people down for telling the truth. You got no wisdom. Just because you can knock me down doesn't change the fact that you're knocking down truth. And just because you keep putting the banner up doesn't make the banner truth. You can put the banner up underneath everybody. You put banners up underneath people with the flat earth, all that. It doesn't change the fact that, why do you have to put it up? If you don't believe it, then leave it alone. But no, you're afraid of the narrative being stolen. You're afraid of the narrative being taken away from you. You're afraid of the wisdom of God and the people who work wisdom. You can't deal with the wisdom. So that's why you call us nuts. That's why you call us conspiracy theorists. That's why you call truthers dangerous. Because they're dangerous to you. They're not dangerous. Anything that I say can liberate people from people like you scientists. I want to liberate people from the pharmaceutical market. I want to liberate people from all the lies of the news network. I want to liberate people from the stupid entertainment. I want people to be liberated from that. I want people to be freed from it. I want people to understand that there's only one reason you're alive, and that is to glorify God, and you be better for it. Because they ain't offering you anything. The scientists aren't offering you anything good. They're looking for a name for themselves. They want papers out. They want to be professors in these worthless colleges that need to be shut down and turned into Job Corps. Your kids aren't coming out of college anymore being smart. Your kids are coming out of college being assholes. Okay? You send your kids to Yale, to Berkeley, and all that. They'll come out and be the assholes working for the Economic Forum. They'll be groomed and they'll be on their knees and being groomed by the handlers. They will have handlers, that's right. Your child is not going to go through college and come out and do great things. He's going to be part of the system, the beast system. And he'll just be another cog being used, and if he lives or dies, it doesn't matter. Not in the greater scheme of things. To a scientist, oh, we made some mistakes in the last batch, but we fixed it now, and no remorse for what happened or damage that happened to the people that they made a mistake with. Never any remorse. They never come out saying they're sorry. They're pompous. They won't do that. I've never heard Anthony whatsoever state, I've heard him lie a lot, but I've never heard him state that he was sorry for mistakes that were made. He's never been sorry because he pushes the buck to other people. He doesn't take responsibility. That's not wisdom. That's arrogance. And that's another thing. Do not think that arrogance is wisdom. It isn't. They're arrogant because they are afraid of people who speak out against them, because we're more wise than they are. That's why they got to shut us down. We got more knowledge than they do. We also do not, they deny that they're living a lie. And they deny that it's a truth. Most of them know, but they can't do nothing. They're trapped. And that's what I'm trying to say. I want you to be liberated. You don't need to be trapped in the lies of the news. You don't need to be trapped in the lies of government, because both sides are a bunch of idiots. You don't need to be trapped in the lies of so-called something floating around that nobody's been able to actually put their finger on, but yet it keeps changing, and yet they keep having to make medicines or make their, you know what, to battle it. But yet nobody can tell us exactly what it is, but they got names for it. They don't know, oh, well, you know, I can't, I gotta be careful, but I heard them on television, these commercials. Well, you know, the flu season is no longer here. But 19 never goes away. That's what they say on television. It never goes away. It's still here. The flus come and go, but that's not wisdom. That's betrayal. They're lying to you. And I mean, how can you wrap your head around a statement like that? I mean, then they, what is with the Spike the vampire, right? What is it with that? Has anybody come out and tell us why are they? Because the last ones weren't supposed to do that, right? But apparently it did, but yet they kept saying it didn't. And it was proven that it was, but the narrative still is that doesn't do that. But now they put something out that's supposed to keep it from doing that. And yet you all don't catch on. Huh? What? What do you mean it? Why do we Spiky the vampire? Wait, why? I thought we didn't have to worry about that it didn't do that, but apparently it does. And yet, humanity still churns its butter. And the lies continue to get deeper and deeper. The delusions become stronger and stronger. And humanity becomes dumber and dumber. There's no wisdom. There's no godly wisdom. And you'll never find it in the natural world. To walk in wisdom is to listen to the Spirit of Christ, is to allow your heart to be changed by the power of that Spirit. Do not be caught up in the escapades of the world, the liars, the manipulators, the cheaters, the fornicators, the so-called leaders. I heard that Ultravolt up there in Canada, he got yelled out of a restaurant. You know, people were chanting against him, you know, because he's such a little asshole, pansy ass, you know. I thought they were going to lynch him. You know, we can't do that, but God, I'd love to see a good lynching, you know. Maybe if they did it to somebody like him, maybe we could get some of the people in our capital who've been doing us wrong. I'd love to see a lynching, you know. Show it on, see, the Democrats, right? The Democrats would if they wanted to lynch somebody, then they'd do it on CNN. The other side, they do it on Fox Network, you know, daily lynchings, you know. But we can't do that. And I don't propose that. I'm aggravated. because I'm sick and tired of people being dumbed down and not having any true knowledge or any true wisdom. And wisdom is paramount right now in your life. You need wisdom. You need supernatural wisdom. And most of you Christians ain't asking for it. Most of you Christians don't even know it's available. Most of you Christians don't, huh? What do you mean supernatural wisdom, huh? I speak in tongues. That don't do anything for you. Well, you're chanting. What does that do? It ain't doing a damn thing for you. You can't understand what the hell you're saying anyway, so what the hell is it doing for you? Well, it makes me feel spiritual. Feel? Spiritual isn't feeling. Spiritual is a way of life. Spiritual is an inner understanding. You are tapped into heavenly realms when you're spiritual. If you're not spiritual, and I mean, if you don't carry the Spirit of Christ, don't tell me you're a spiritual Christian, because you're a liar. I don't care how much you can speak in tongues. That don't mean shit to me. Okay? I don't have a problem with you, but I'm just saying you're all lying to yourself, because you have one, we're gonna get the Spirit in. You've already got the Holy Spirit if you're born again. If you're waiting for the Holy Spirit to come in, what the hell are you waiting for? If you already got your Pentecost, then what the hell are you waiting for? I get so sick and tired of ignorance. Ignorance. Anyway. So, keep all this in mind and recognize that, all these things that are going on, these wars, these people come out and say stuff. Omar, that little wench over here, and they don't have a clue on anything, and they sit there and talk out their ass, and then all this stuff is that they're building up the Jesuits, they're building up the Zionists. Just because they say Jew, I'm not blaming any of the innocent people out there. It's the leaders. Hamas, the Jesuits, the Zionists, these people. And that flag is not the flag of David. That's a lie. That is an embarrassment to you Jews, to be very truthful with you. If you are actually Jew, that flag, that star, is a pentagram. It doesn't represent David. It doesn't represent kingdom. It doesn't represent God. It's a lie. They're not the real, what they're supposed to be. Okay? It's like the Pope and the Vatican. They're not of God. They're of Satan. They're of Lucifer. They could sit there and say anything. Jesus, this. They don't love Jesus. That's why they keep Jesus on a cross, dying on a cross, and won't let him come down. You think that's respect? That's not respect. The love has waxed cold in this world. There is no love. There's no agape. The churches live under the rule of phileo love. A phileo love of accept those people, because you're supposed to be a Christian and you have to accept the sinner. Yeah, but I accept the sinner to come in, but I also expect that sinner to change. You come in to be saved, but yet you don't want the benefits of being saved because you still want to hold on to things, and you can't be standing around here. I can't have it in my church. But no, that's not what we do. We bring them in. We love on them. And when we say, we just want you to be comfortable here. Oh yeah, they'll sit in there. The cross-dresser will sit in there, and the guy who just got his operation will sit in there looking like a woman, and I mean, probably looking good and putting all the women in the church to shame, and all this other, and yet there's no remorse. There's no wanting to change. There's no condition. Nobody has, the minister hasn't brought them in the office and says, well, you've been here a week, you're ready to, No. We live in an ignorant world. We live in a world with a lot of knowledge, but no wisdom, no righteousness, no moral foundation. We listen to fools with money. We trust in fools with ideas. We trust in fools who want to mold the world in the way they see fit. Mr. Klaus Schwab, I don't like your 15-minute city bullshit. I don't want to be part of that. But see, from his point of view, you will, and you'll own nothing, and you'll be happy. Even though I won't, that ain't the point. It's like Bill and his husband Melinda, right? When they sat there on that couch and they're sitting there on an interview and says, well, you know, when the next one comes out, they'll take it seriously then. And yet, you've just been insulted. And he just not only insulted you, Bill has actually threatened you. Threaten you. When they had their meeting over there with the Economic Forum, everything they do is a threat. We'll put stuff under your skin. You will be changed. Klaus Schwab said, "We're not changing the world. We're changing you." That's a threat. I don't want to be changed by you. You're threatening my life, and I don't have a right to retaliate. Right? We got the federal government here who's just torched Maui. We don't have a right to retaliate if we know that that's what they did. And as much as they're trying to hide Maui, we're more truthful than they are. They torched the place down. They killed people. And nobody wants to be responsible. And yet, nobody questions. Mainstream, there isn't a correspondent who's wondering what is going on in Maui. But yet, you're right. We think we know everything. Like I said, we think we're the great America. We're being invaded. Thousands upon thousands of people a day from other countries are coming in here and destabilizing us left and right, and yet we live in a great country. We bring in all the invaders because we love them. You know, So anyway, in saying all that, pray for Maui. Pray for these people who are innocent, who are stuck in these wars. Also, continue to pray that if they die saved, that they die finding Christ, that they die, you know, where God reads their hearts and they will be in heaven someday. That's what you pray for, because they may die. Stop praying for stupid stuff like peace, because these people ain't going to have peace. You know, it ain't going to happen. And also, stop listening to the lies. Stop listening to all the fake wisdom of the world, because it ain't there. And for God's sake, protect your children from pornography. Protect your children from transgenders. Protect your children from hate, not hate speech, but if you are a hateful person, whether it's Hamas or whether it's you, you know, I don't hate the Jewish people. I hate the leaders who are doing what they're doing. I hate the individuals who think that they have a right to do what they got to do. I hate the spirits that are possessing Netanyahu, whatever the hell his name is, you know, and the Hamas leader. They're all possessed by demons. So I don't have any love for them personally, but I do care about the poor Palestinians and the poor Jewish people on the others who are in the middle of all this, you know, and have been manipulated by their leaders, you know, lied to by their leaders, you know, and they don't even represent the people. They represent their own selfish interests, you see. So pray for these people. Keep praying for me as I keep praying for you. Remember, I'm a minister, you know, trying to survive like the rest of you. could use financial help, buck here, penny there, pray over it first. Don't give it to me out of pride. Don't give it to me if you're not being moved to do it. But I do also would like to have your prayers. That's what's most important, prayer. I want powerful prayers from powerful Christians with Holy Spirit power. If you're an empty vessel, I don't know what you're praying for, and I don't know if it's going to reach God. If you're an empty vessel, I hate to say it. I appreciate it, but if it's not going to reach me, if it's going to be out in the wind somewhere, and you don't have a relationship truly with, I don't want your prayer. Okay, so please, I'm very selective of the type of prayers that I get, because I want prayers from like-minded Christians. I don't want prayers from weak-minded Christians. You see, that's probably one of my biggest problems, because when I say that, I seem to insult people who think they're Christians when they're not. And I can't help that, because if you're going to a church and you're believing everything the world's telling you, and you don't have no discernment over it, and then I'm sorry, you don't have the Spirit. And if you do, you're disrespecting God because you're pushing it down because of your pride. You see what I'm saying? I'm not going to tell you any different. I know most people say, well, all Christians, not everybody's a Christian. Just because you go to a church doesn't mean you're a Christian. Because if you're living in the world, and the world means a hell of a lot more to you than your church, or not your church, but God, then you're not a Christian. You play one, like a doctor, like the actor who plays a doctor on TV. That's basically what you're doing. But if you're walking in the world and going to church on Sunday and giving a little time to God, but yet you go home and watch Netflix and watch all these things. You go and have Halloween with your kids. You celebrate a false Christmas that has nothing to do with Jesus' birth, but has to do with you bringing a tree in, which is idolatry, and you actually are worshiping around a tree. You put a star on top of it. The star does not represent the North Star. It represents the star of Satan. It is not the star of heaven, the North Star that Jesus was under. Santa Claus has nothing to do with anything. Santa Claus is just a figment of people's imagination, right? But yet you tell your children that he's real. Then you lie to them, and as they get older, they realize that he wasn't real. You lied to your children, never told them the truth. So they got no grasp on actual birth of Jesus, and don't realize that. What do they learn? What did I get for Christmas? What are you getting me for Christmas? I have a list for Christmas. Has nothing to do with Jesus. Then they have their little plays, the little actors, and doing all this and stuff. It all sounds good. It all sounds great. But basically, Christmas is like every other holiday. Cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. So, this is the lies we live in. No wisdom. A lot of knowledge, a lot of phony knowledge, a lot of haphazard knowledge, a lot of bullshit knowledge, but not a lot of wisdom. Leaders have no wisdom. There's no wisdom in the arts anymore. Music has no wisdom. I think I'm the only, I'm not trying to be prideful, I must be the only real Christian who is tapped into the Spirit to actually sing truth. Not just hymnals. Not just feel good. I want the songs that I sing to impact you like a sermon. And I think they do. For you have not heard my music, Derby Jack Christian Blues, go check me out. Sign up to me. I think that my music could benefit many people, only if they listen with their hearts, and only if they listen with their spirits. Only thing I can hope is if you're not spiritual, that you listen to some of my songs. Maybe my song will turn you into a Christian. That'd be wonderful. If I had a song that actually made person want to come to God, break down right there and then, in the middle of the song, and they're weeping and ready to come to God and putting off their old man and wanting that Holy Spirit in them. I hope that that's what I can do through my music. So, pray, pray, pray. That's all we got. Faith, that's all we got. This world is disintegrating. Ain't much left. The beauty of it is debilitating. There is no more beauty anymore. Females don't want to know how to be females. There aren't no real men anymore. These kids that are growing up are pansies. They got no backbone. They're fearful. They're some are psychotic. Others just don't have any true emotion whatsoever. And the ones who are emotional are emotional at a drop of a hat for no reason at all. They get caught up without thinking. They got no thinking processes. There's parts of their brain that have not been turned on. They've gone to school and have not been challenged. These college kids are being indoctrinated and they turn away from their their religions, their parents. The things that they did to grow up, they hate it now. This is the indoctrination. This is the poisoning of the college campuses. That's why I say they need to be closed down and turned into Job Corps. So anyway, in saying all that, be scrupulous. Be very aware. Don't take everything they tell you. And when you do a little research, do a little thinking. When you see these Walgreens commercials, when they start listen to the words they say. Listen to them. If you hear it again, listen to the words they say. Listen to what they're telling you. And when you really listen to what they're saying to you, they're telling you, if you take this, you're going to be in trouble. Then they say, oh, it's ethical. And then at the end, could cause side effects, but safe and effective. Derby Jack out. See you all on the other side.